Oh,
All right, you're good.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Keep It Down podcast with Logan, Ty, and Garrett. In the studio here today, we got Logan Curry. Logan, say what's up.
what's up, everybody?
And we got Garrett Curry as well. Say
How's it
what's
going,
up,
guys?
Garrett.
How we doing?
Yeah, so just right off top, these two got some nicknames. So why don't you guys tell them your nicknames in case we call each other that?
I'll go first. This is Logan. You're probably gonna hear me get called Schmog quite a bit. I don't know why in this family we just always feel the need to give everyone a nickname, but Schmog is the one that I picked up. So if you hear that, they're referring to me, Logan.
And yeah, I mean, if you hear anyone say chotch or wrench or raunchy or anything like that, they are referring to me. So,
Yeah, he's got a couple. Yeah, so if you're wondering why we all got the last name, it's because we're all three brothers. All grew up together in a small town of Tehachapi. Grew up playing football, loved the game. Um, big football guys, wouldn't you say, boys?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
So, anyways, we're gonna give you guys a quick introduction to us. So, Logan, why don't you kick it off?
Ooh. Alrighty. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I guess like kind of sports background kind of stuff, which is I guess is what we're going to be talking about a lot of on this podcast. When we were younger, we got into hockey a little bit, roller hockey out in Bear Valley. And if there's anyone listening to this that played roller hockey out at the Whiting Center, you know how that goes. So I started out there playing hockey, and then moved into town, and then that's when I started playing football. I think I was 10, my first year of football, and then played all the way through high school, and then a little bit of college. So yeah, played a lot, most of my time on the line, and then in high school started long snapping a little bit and playing some tight end, and then that's what I went to college for was long snapping. So that's kind of my football background.
Yeah, and for everyone that doesn't know, long snapping is a thing, man. Like, you guys had camps and skills competitions and everything. It's its own little world.
Yeah, it's for sure different than a lot of other positions. You mess up and you're seen all over the place and it's bad. Which is so weird. I started long snapping when I was a freshman year, and shout out Coach Scotty, who gave me absolutely zero choice in whether or not I played center at the time, and so he's like, "Well, if you played center, you can long snap," which, like looking back, no shot. Like,
Yeah, two completely different things.
and so he brought me into that, and not super good with super stressful pressure situations ever, really, when I was younger, and it didn't really make sense that I would start long snapping, but I kind of just took to it and had a good coach. The guy who actually taught me how to long snap, Drew Howell, ended up playing at the University of Oregon, and someone that I look up to and talk to, and met him at snapping camps and all that kind of stuff. So I had good people around me to teach me. So it was good. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I don't think.
Yeah, I was just talking about one of my coworkers the other day, and I was telling him it's one of those spots where if you don't go notice the whole game, you've done a good job, man.
Yeah,
I was just gonna
exactly.
add that, man.
Yeah,
When you're not getting talked to, it's a good day for you. But if everyone's
exactly
looking at
right.
you, you're not having a good day, man.
I remember
Yeah.
I had like one egregious like bad snap, like one of those that went over the punter's head, and I think we were playing against. I think it was like Segerstrom, like one of those weird one-off games when I think I was a sophomore, snapped it clear over the punter's head, and the defense totally bailed us out. We ended up winning the game, and my blood pressure was completely through the roof. But yeah, that's never a good feeling. You can't blame anybody but yourself. So it's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, man, it's a tough spot to be in for sure. All right, Garrett, what do you got for us?
All right, so my story begins a little origin story for you. Um, so when I was like 7.5, obviously I had two older brothers, so we're out at the football field basically 24/7 at this point. So couldn't quite play football yet. Got to be 8 to do that. So found my way into some soccer, as everyone
Oh,
knows. I
Mm-hmm.
was a young Ronaldo out there.
You were, man, with the boot.
the boot.
Got a hammer on that thing, baby. And so then basically started playing as soon as I could when I turned 8. And so played from the time I was 8 till I was 17. Started out playing quarterback, believe it or not, for all you listening. I remember Coach Copus, when I was a sophomore, he called me a quarter guard because let's just say I wasn't the ideal quarterback build.
Yeah, man. Watching you as a kid, it was a little different. The biggest kid on the field was playing quarterback.
It always looked like Chot should have been playing like 2 divisions up from where he was actually playing,
But actually, I was the
Yeah,
youngest kid on the
even in high
field
school.
out of everyone.
yeah.
Yeah, so pretty standard. Play all 4 of my years, and some refer to it as Pop Warner or youth football, whatever you want to call it. And then started playing high school ball. Freshman year, got pulled up to JV and actually tore my ACL into my season, the whole 10-month rehab, the whole 9 yards. And so went, played my whole sophomore season, got pulled up to varsity at the end of my sophomore season for playoffs, which is basically just an excuse for the older kids to beat up on us in practice. So they don't got to get hurt and all that good stuff. So it's kind of a coming of passage of sorts.
Hmm.
Then my junior year was actually the last year that our coach, Steve Denman, he was coach for 35 years, coached both my brothers, countless league championships, probably a couple dozen CIF championships, and he's in the Kern County Hall of Fame for high school sports. So kind of ended my junior year with him, and so I kind of got to see this unique blend of two different coaches because if you know anything about Tehachapi football, it's run the ball down your throat 24/7, 365. You put your best 11 guys versus our best 11 guys, and we're going to see who wins every down. And so kind of got to experience that. And then when I was a senior, got a brand new coach, brand new coaching staff. So went a little different than anticipated. So I think went 5-6, but still made third round of playoffs. And that's where it ended for me, boys. And then decided football wasn't really it for me after that. Still love the sport, still have a ton of passion and drive to, be around, be involved with it, all that good stuff. So, but yeah, that about does it for my kind of sports background.
Yeah, man. Coach Dimon, for real, a legend. I think growing up, you maybe didn't realize or appreciate how great of a coach that guy was because just growing up, he was just the football coach to us. And then
Mhm.
as you get a little bit older, you realize, yeah, not a lot of other people are doing that.
Yeah,
Just the longevity and all the wins, championships, deep runs in the playoffs year after year is just
yeah.
different than you see from a lot of other schools and coaches.
I mean, like
Um,
30 something years as like a coach on that staff, and then like 300 over 300 wins. Like that's insane. I mean, most coaches won't see half that, a quarter of that, a third of that. Like it's crazy stuff. And growing up, I mean, he's the coach. Like it's and
Yeah, I was just going to add that actually. So obviously anyone's not from Tehachapi doesn't really understand, but it's one high school, 2,500 students in the whole high school. It's not these big Bakersfield or Fresno's or any of these big towns or cities that have, 4, 5, 6 different choices. He's been the guy for the whole time that we've been playing football.
yeah,
yeah.
great guy too. I've said it once and I'll say it a million times. I'm hard lobbying for our stadium to get renamed after Dimon. That guy has done more for, I don't know. I mean, and if you ask anyone that's played for Coach Dimon, like life altering stuff. Just like playing for that guy in this city. It's we're all really blessed that we're able to do that.
Yeah, if there's anyone out there that wants to see a little game film or see some of the greatest hits, Corey Costello on YouTube has posted
Hmm.
some game film from championship years and big playoff wins and stuff like that. So you can go check that out if you want to see some of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, TC, let's turn this on to you.
Hey,
Oh man, the spotlight, huh? No, similar to my older brother Logan, started out playing hockey out in Bear Valley. Actually, my first year out, my dad coached us, and we went winless that year. So that's kind of my introduction to sports. It's probably not gonna be easy road for you. But after that, everything was on the up and up. We got better and we practiced and ended up getting some more wins later on down the road. But
I think it was two our second season.
yeah, third grade, I moved into town and was able to play youth football. And when we say moving into town, that means there's a little community about half hour away from Tehachapi called Bear Valley, and that's where we live. So our parents weren't willing to drive us in every day for that play youth football back then. So that's what we mean when we say move into town. But
Mhm.
anyways, third grade, I moved into town and started playing youth football at the age of 8. My freshman team, we invented the Wildcat offense before it was a thing. Just direct snap to the quarterback and you take off.
Actually,
But yeah, played all the way up through high school. Spent 3 years on varsity. My sophomore year, made a deep run in the playoffs. Lost in the semifinals. My junior year, got bounced in the first round, so that was definitely a letdown for Tehachapi football. We're not used to that. And then senior year, made it back into the semis again. A tough loss to our rival. After that, went off and played a little college ball. Um, and here I am, man, a working man like many others.
so
Right off the
TC
field. Go
TC,
ahead, Schmidt.
you have kind of a funny evolution of what positions you played. I think we need to get into that a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
because
yeah, 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 yeah,
where
yeah.
you started ain't even close to where you ended. So
Exactly right. So actually, my first year out, played a little guard. Even though I was a little kid, I wasn't skilled enough to get the ball too much. And then my second year that I played, they ended up moving me to running back, and they liked the way I run, and they said that my nickname was Crazy Legs from now on because of how my legs would flop in the wind when I was trying to run fast. And after that, yeah, it was pretty much running back and defense for me, man. Play a little safety and running back, and that's really where I found my spot at. Yeah.
hmm, always so much fun. Funny story. Chach, come back to you a little bit. So the high school's playing South tonight. If anyone's keeping up or well, whenever you listen to this, high school's playing South. I think, as far as Chach goes, for South, I think that is the only time I've ever seen someone run the ball. So Chach was all wrapped up. He had like two people on him, completely wrapped up, stopped dead in his tracks. And the safety runs up. And I think it's the first time I've ever seen someone try to hit someone who was standing completely still and knock themselves out in the process. So a shout out to whoever that guy is. Hopefully he's doing well these days.
Yeah,
but
right?
Yeah.
oh man,
Homie got a severe concussion from running
yeah.
into the back of a stationary man.
Yep.
oh man.
Schmag, you have an interesting story. I think one of your fall teams made it pretty decently far in the playoffs, huh?
Yeah, I think I remember that as well.
Yeah. So I was on the 2010, I think is what it's labeled as, 2010 CIF championship team. So crazy. So when I was in high school, like rewinding a little bit, the varsity team won the CIF championship 3 out of my 4 years of high school. So it was from 7 to 10. It was a great time just to be there. It was awesome. I mean, those guys, they're like celebrities, at the high school. Like I'll always remember, those guys that were playing when I was a freshman and all that stuff. So, my freshman year, they won it. My sophomore year, they won it. My junior year, they lost in the CIF game. I think it was Porterville at the time. Anyone listening to this who was on that team, I'm incredibly sorry. But yeah, Porterville, and then my senior year, we come back and there's a lot of talk about a redemption story, and we're supposed to be there, and we had a really really good team, and I'm
Loaded.
sure we'll talk about this more in the future. We'll kind of break down maybe a little bit more of that season, but just stacked with a lot of young players, just a lot of depth at every single position, and not too many seniors, but a lot of good underclassmen that um, brought so much to the team. Yeah, so we come out week one, get a win. I won't go through the whole season just yet, but we had one loss. We went 13-1. Week two's Garces, and it's supposed to be the biggest matchup. And they came up to Tehachapi, and they rolled us bad. Like it was like 36-6. Like we had a bunch of guys get hurt. It was terrible. And then we ended up not losing a single game after that, and then beat Garces in the semifinals to take us to the championship game against San Joaquin Memorial up there in Fresno, the deadest grass I've ever played on in my whole entire life. I don't, water doesn't exist up there. But yeah, ended up winning the championship game, 13-10. Yeah, it was really special. It was really special to be a part of that. And Ty, you got pulled up for playoffs, and so that was the first time that you and I had ever got to be on the same field and practice together and do all that. So it was really really special. And going up there like underdogs throughout the entire playoffs, and everyone's counting you out every single week, and it was really special. You know, all my best friends, that I made growing up played on that same team, and so yeah, it was incredible. We talk about that often, and it's a great memory for sure.
Yeah, man. I was gonna kind of add on to that. Underdogs is an understatement. Thatchby's a really small school, and that was our first year. We're going up into
Oh
the
yeah,
Division II playoffs,
yeah,
taking down two big schools from Fresno, as well as a private school from Bakersfield on the playoff run.
yeah,
It was quite the accomplishment, to say the least.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, going into the playoffs, we got a 6 seed. We lost one game to a team that was undefeated up until that point, and we got a 6 seed. So we played one home game, and then we were on the road for the rest of playoffs. And under, it, nobody was picking us to win in every single one of those games, and just to prove everybody wrong was awesome. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys, did you have any local guys growing up that you were really looking up to or tried to model your game after? Because for me, it was the guys that were Logan's age. I was watching Marcus and Adam and Corey, and I always wanted to play like them. The toughness and the skill that they brought to the game. I always was a little envious of some of their physical gifts that they had, but just the hard nosed football they would play, man, and then mix that in with some splash plays, and boy, a deadly group of guys you had, man.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
I'm kind of in the same boat here because most kids my age, Logan's 8 years older than me, Ty's 5.5 years older than me or something, so not even relatively close in age. So I wasn't playing on Friday nights. I was playing youth football on Saturdays, and so most kids are in the end zone talking to girls, playing football with other kids, doing this, that, and the other. And I just always like picked to be a water boy, which I know sounds a little corny and fucking fangirly or whatever you want to call it, but and so I kind of just like I also looked up to the same dudes because I was like on the field with them, and I was just like loved being around the sport so much, and like I felt like I was attached, but obviously I wasn't. But
Hmm.
so kind of the same boat for me.
Yeah, and Logan, you had already mentioned it was the guys that won the championship a couple of years prior to you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you just like you're just like going to school with those people, especially like I mentioned Drew before, and Drew was a big I just looked up to him. I saw him around campus, and we could be friendly, and I saw how that guy worked in the weight room and his work ethic, and he was also a long snapper, and I wasn't nearly on the level that dude was on, but he was always someone. That dude never had a bad snap that I can remember in high school, and just big physical dude, but like got the job done, and yeah, it was a great time to
Yeah,
be in Tehachapi.
to add on to that, I think Drew was someone that we all looked up to in Tehachapi,
Yeah,
small school, and him going off to Oregon and seeing them come out with their crazy uniforms, and they're playing Auburn, and holy crap, there's Drew.
yeah,
Like that was just such a cool thing, and I think that's why a lot of kids from Tehachapi still to this day are such diehard Oregon fans, is because of Drew going there, and
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, there's only been, excuse me if I forget anyone and you're listening to this and you're like, what the hell, you forgot me. But, Drew went to Oregon, obviously powerhouse school, and Steve Dimmon's son, Chris Dimon, played at Fresno State. And those are like the two big Division 1 athletes that we've had come out of our school. So, those guys, like, you see them, you're like, oh, that's one of the guys. We've had plenty of guys, go to junior colleges in Division 3, 2, and all that stuff. And it's not a knock to you at all. It's just, big Division 1 schools, and then Chris went on to the NFL and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Especially
it's
from the
special.
from the
Yeah.
recruiting side. Like these,
Yeah.
Drew was recruited, not just he didn't walk on at Oregon. He got a full ride at
Yeah.
Oregon. He,
Yeah.
which is unheard of for our school. It doesn't happen. It's not an option.
It was a
You either
big deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's either, your parents are working two jobs so you can try to afford a semester at a big school, and take your shot on a walk on, beating someone else out for a spot, or you're going to junior college, or you're joining the workforce, or you're joining the military. It's
Yeah.
kind of unheard of from our
Yeah.
town.
No, I remember Drew's younger brother coming to school, and he'd be selling some of Drew's weight room equipment, or sweatbands, this, that, the other, and everyone would be fighting over them.
Yeah.
Highest bidder wins, kind of thing.
So I
So
mean, crazy story, man. I still have a pair of trainers that Drew got when he went to Oregon. I still have them, and I keep them, and I wear them every now and again. Usually when the Ducks play on Saturdays, but I still have them, and like I will never ever get rid of them. I'll just have them. Shout out Bobby Howell. I think Bobby Howell brought those back, and I'm sure they were his at one point, and then somehow ended up in my hands. I don't know how that happened, but I'm thankful.
yeah, and but by stuff he was wearing in the weight room, I don't mean his shirts and stuff. That'd be kind of weird. But we definitely wrecked
Yeah,
the shoes.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, none of us would have fit in that shirt, anyways.
no, no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure we'll, later on down the road, we'll get kind of into some more specifics, and maybe we'll, break down, seasons or, games or stuff that, kind of had a big impact on our careers and, kind of what we remember about football. Everyone as an athlete or everyone who's played football can remember just those games or those moments of those games. They're never going to leave you. And we'll get more into that, I'm sure, a little bit later. We won't take up, we'll have a 5 hour podcast here if we start diving into all of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
no, yeah. Football is a huge part of our lives. But the question I wanted to ask you guys was, how did you guys adjust to life after sports?
mm.
Because I know for me, one of the biggest adjustments was the way I was eating, man. Because when I was playing, you could eat anything, and once you got later on into your playing career, you start realizing maybe you should eat a little better. But still, you're for the most part, you can eat whatever you want, and you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
burn it off. And after you stop playing, you realize really quick that is not the case anymore.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my football career ended pretty abruptly. I had a torn ACL my third game of junior college ball, and went to physical therapy, came back, and went back out the next season, and kind of just oddly enough, just didn't really feel the same about football anymore. So it's a really weird adjustment. You spend your whole life, I mean, being really competitive, and I mean, I would say that we all had a passion for the game, and we took it really seriously, and just kind of laying off that competitiveness a little bit and like learning to freaking chill out sometimes and like like slowing down just a little bit. I mean, still something that I'm working on, like even being pretty far removed from the game, actually playing the game. It's different, and I mean, I was coming off of a yes, I was in college and whatever. If I wouldn't have torn my knee up, I'm one of those guys. But I mean, I don't see it that way. But that's I mean, that's reality. I was playing, it was fine. I was getting letters, and I got hurt, and they all dried up and disappeared, and had to move on after that. It's tough. There's some things that are easy. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't miss freaking the headaches and the monkey bumps and being sore all day, for a few days after games and stuff. But yeah, it's some things are tough and some things are easy for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think all of us growing up playing football and everything, that's almost part of your identity, you
Hmm.
know?
Especially here
So,
in Tehachapi.
yeah, it's a very strange feeling when that's taken away from you, and you're not weight training in the spring, and then you got training camp in the summer. When you don't have all that stuff, it's almost like, well, what do I do now? You know?
Hmm.
And at one point or another, we all had dreams of going on into the next level, into the next level. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
sometimes you got to go to your plan B, and it's such an abrupt change that you're like, well, what is my plan B? Like I thought I was
Yeah.
doing this for a while, and now it's like here right now, and so it's definitely a jarring kind of deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What about you, Chach?
Yeah,
You
I
you
mean,
kind you kind of went a different route. So, Ty, you had mentioned earlier that you sorry, Chach, to cut you off.
no, you're all good.
So Ty ended up going on and playing some college ball, redshirting his freshman season. I went on to play junior college football. Chach, you decided I don't know if you just kind of saw how it went with Ty and I, and maybe I don't know if that influenced your decision or not, but your story's a little different. You want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so after my senior season, I got talked to by a couple small schools. One was actually in Iowa, in Des Moines, Iowa, like less than 3.5 hours from Ty, where he was living at the time. And so, they were kind of talking. It's a far move. I know it's hard. I saw what freaking Ty went through being halfway across the world. It seems like it's just the United States, but
Yeah,
so I kind of just decided that I thought it was time to hang it up. It takes a toll on your body. I don't care who tells you it doesn't, or
yeah,
you know, it's a physical game. You're especially when we played, going through youth football, bashing heads every day, repeatedly, over and over and over,
yeah,
and then just the grind mentality and hanging out with the same 60 dudes for 8 months out of the year, every year,
yeah,
you know. And so kind of felt like I was ready to hang it up. And so I did. And I just kind of went straight into work. Not to get too boring with it, but now I'm just a
yeah,
water operator. So did a little summer intern gig and then kind of got my shot after that. So
yeah.
went a little
Was it
different than the boys here,
was
but
there was there like ever a moment that like after you'd made your decision, yeah, you know what, I'm like ready to hang it up. Like, was there ever a moment or like times that you look back, like shortly after that, and you're like, should I have played? Should I start emailing some schools again? Like, because I know I had that. Like when I decided, yeah, I just don't feel the same about football. There was, a couple opportunities to, possibly go play in Canada or apply back at another school or stuff like that. And did you ever have those moments where you're like, should I be done? Like, am I selling myself short? Could I do
for
this?
sure, like I
Yeah,
see all these, like we watch college football on Saturdays, and then we watch pro football on Sunday, and I start seeing these kids that are my age, coming up through the ranks. I'm like, wow, that could have been me, like in theory, the
yeah,
freaking small town kid with big dreams or whatever, but whatever kind of stereotype you want to put on that.
sure,
But the other half of it was I played fullback, and
yeah.
how many colleges are running, you know, even like a pistol or something like that, where you could even include a fullback,
Game's
maybe two.
changing. I mean, you mentioned it before. The game is changing, and it's not how it was when even like when we played. And Chachi, not that far removed from it. And I mean, in all reality, neither are you and I, Ty. Like it's changing every single year. There's something new, and there's a new offense, and there's a need for a different skill set, and the players are changing, and all that stuff. So I get completely what you mean, Chach. I mean, it probably would have possibly meant a position change for you, and you
Exactly.
know,
And then you
yeah,
kind of wrap that all up with moving halfway across the country, changing
yeah,
positions, having to learn something brand new, which, I mean, you got to take risks in life. There's no easy way to just have it figured out all at once, but
right,
it seemed like a lot, which, I mean, could have been maybe it would have been the easiest thing in the world. Who knows? But hindsight's 2020, I guess.
yeah,
Yep. No, the game is definitely changing. I remember back in the day, concussions weren't really that big of a deal. You
yeah,
know,
no,
you could
no,
come off
no,
walking funny, or you don't have your bearings about you, and the team doctor, who was usually just someone's mom, would just shine a light in your eyes and tell you if you're good or you weren't. And most of
yeah,
the time I was good. So I
yeah,
don't know if a real doctor would have said the same thing, but that's what they said. Just send you back out there.
yeah, absolutely,
And also, the equipment, man. These helmets are coming out with now are crazy.
yeah.
Um, the stuff we were rocking back in the youth football days did not look like that or protect half as good.
Yeah, anyone listening to this, if you've ever worn an Adams football helmet, like, oh man, I feel for you because I wore an Adams helmet, and ooh, man,
Or what about the old bikes back in the day?
oh yeah, man, like, yeah, dude, yep. with
Shout
the
out bucket helmets.
blue and inflatable like bladder in there.
Yeah,
Pistol,
the coach would put the
man.
needle in on top of the helmet and give it a couple pumps.
Yeah. When you go down to when you go down to Bakersfield because you lose elevation and so like it's all deflated. You need something to
Exactly
keep your
right.
brain in place.
Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
be in the line, everyone's getting pumped up.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the other thing. You'd come out saying, your head hurts, you're disoriented. If it's at night, oh, the light is hurting my eyes, and they say, oh, there's too much air in your helmet. Take some air out and shove it right back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
that kind of leads me into this whole Tua situation.
Mm,
Pretty crazy situation that happened on Thursday night. The week before, guy was stumbling around, getting back up, trying to get back into the play. What do you think about the decision for the Dolphins to run him back out there less than a week later?
I mean, that's horrendous.
yeah.
You could throw the dictionary at this one. Like, there's no reason for to put anyone's life at stake, no matter who it is. I don't care if he's Tom Brady. I don't. It doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a job. Sure, it's a sport. It's passionate. They make a whole hell of a lot of money, but they're people at the end of the day, and everyone wants to go home, see their wife, pet their dog, do all that good stuff. So, I think it's a very poor decision. Yeah, especially on a short week, man. Like if they're playing the next Monday or something, he had 7, 8 days of rest and he's actually feeling better. But this thing's a mess and it's going to be a mess and it's probably going to get pretty ugly for the PA versus the Dolphins, I'm
Yeah,
imagining.
man, it seems like they're definitely going to have some questions that they're going to have to answer. Um, I think when something like that happens, it turns it from a football play into now you're watching a person on the ground, man. Like
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah.
you know, it's scary. You don't
Yeah.
want to see a situation like that, and obviously, if anyone could have predicted that that was going to be the case, he never would have ran out there on the field. But like I said, when you see that guy lying on the ground, just all the worst things are running through your head. When they finally announced that he was going to be getting on the plane with the team, it was like such a sense of relief for everyone watching.
Yeah. Yeah, mind you, that guy's 24 years old. You know what I mean? That guy has a life ahead of him. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I think there's a few things wrong. Partially, like I understand the dude is competitive. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL. He played at Bama. He played under Coach Saban. That dude is competitive. So I'm sure that he has shaken things off, and the whole. But them saying it was a back, it was an ankle. Like anyone who saw the play, like I don't know. I've never hurt my back and held my head and collapsed down onto the ground and stood up, and somebody else had to hold me up and calling it a back injury. So that doesn't make sense. Like let's just call it for what it is, and even if there was something that came out after Sunday, listen, we made a mistake. He shouldn't have gone back out. We didn't see these symptoms. He shouldn't have gone back out there, but we did. He's not playing. We're gonna follow the protocol now. But he plays the second half, and the whole thing. They're in a close game against another great team in the league. That doesn't look good. And then he comes back out and gets hurt again. And I feel like there's so much that as far as rule changes and stuff. You mentioned equipment is changing to make players safer. There's rule changes, the targeting calls that we all see that we watch, and oh yeah, that was targeting, or there's no way, or oh, back in the day, I would have gotten called for targeting because I hit people like that all the time. So they're making all these rules that say you can't hit with your head, you can't do this, you can't do that, but then we're like, those rules don't mean anything as because those rules are put in place to protect the player's health. Like it doesn't mean anything if we're letting players play with concussions. Like
That's what
none of that means anything.
Yeah,
I was just gonna add.
100%.
That's the whole reason why there's a NFL Players Association, a collective
Yeah.
bargaining agreement, all that good stuff. That this is
Mm-hmm.
the exact reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're all wishing the best for Tua. Moving on to something a little lighter, who you guys liking through the first 3 weeks of the season? Who's looking like the powerhouses?
We're talking about NFL right now.
Yeah, man. Who's come out and thrown the gauntlet down?
I mean, the Bills.
Yeah, I think that was the team name
Hey,
on everyone's mind.
yeah, shout out my old roommate, not actual roommate. So
Yeah, but went to the same junior college as you,
went
right?
went to the same junior college. See his career slightly different trajectory than mine. What's cool. I'm not Not too mad about it. Yeah, shout out Reedley College, man.
Yeah,
Josh Josh Allen
yeah, I was gonna say for anyone who doesn't know, Josh Allen went to Reedley, and so did my older brother Logan. So
didn't play on the same team. Wish though that would have been something else, but he came a few years after me. But
it seems like the AFC is pretty loaded this year. The NFC, man, I don't know if I'm sold on anyone yet.
Oh yeah, no way.
You know, the Bucks have been putting up like 15 points a game the last couple of weeks.
yeah,
Rams are there still, but I don't know. I'm not super confident in them.
yeah.
Packers, no Devontae Adams. I mean,
After week one, I was almost going to say the Vikings. Like, they looked really good. They were an offensive threat. They retooled their entire defense. Their head coach is doing a great job so far. I thought they played really well week one, but then they went in and played I can't remember who they played week two, but they just haven't looked the same since then, which I don't know if it's just you get to finally play someone in a different jersey or what it is, but so
yeah,
I think
no.
go ahead.
On paper, the Vikings should be top dogs in their division for sure.
Oh yeah.
Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. That's a really big three, man.
Yeah.
They got between Dalvin and Justin Jefferson. That's two top five guys at their position. It's almost one of those situations like the Cowboys have been in for the last couple of years, where on paper they're looking really good, but
Yeah.
sometimes the rubber doesn't always meet the road, right?
Yeah. So I want to bring something up real quick. There's currently one undefeated team in the league right now. And out of the NFC East, we have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah,
Now,
man.
now, is this all hype? Are we playing easy teams? I mean, they played the Commanders. Shout out the Commanders for one of those wins. But are we sold? Are we sold on Mr. Hurts?
Jalen looks like the real deal, man. Coming out of Bama, I didn't know what to expect from the guy. To be honest with you, absolute stud in college, but you never know how someone's game's going to translate over.
Sure.
But I'm believing the hype on him, man. I'm really digging it.
Yeah, from what I've seen, they look really good so far. Yeah, I mean, another home game this weekend against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's also 2-1, so that should be an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles could extend this win streak a couple more games, and then yeah, interesting for sure. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone really expected that.
Yeah, I think the Eagles offense is probably one of the top units in the league as a whole. They they seem to keep adding just deep threats and dudes who can catch the ball over the middle. And yeah, Hurts is probably the next thing. He's the
Mm-hmm.
next Lamar. He's or any mobile quarterback who can do it with his legs and be intelligent with the football, not turn the ball over. But if they have any shortcomings, I think it's going to come on the defensive side of the ball for sure. They have a good unit right now. Of course, injuries. It's a 17-week season.
Mm-hmm.
It's an absolute grueler. So
Yeah,
only time will tell, I suppose. But yeah, I'm definitely more worried on the defense. But the offense is looking pretty solid, I'd say.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, but before this injury to Tua, I would have put the Dolphins in that discussion as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Throwing the ball all around the yard, man. They were looking really nice.
I mean, they
So
have every target you could possibly want out there, right?
yeah, yeah. Completely retooled that offense. Bringing Tyreek Hill over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, boys, I got a little game set up for you too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say the name of an NFL
Sheesh.
player, and you guys are gonna try to tell me where they went to college at.
Are we
So
taking turns here, or are we buzzing in?
no, this is gonna be a buzz in. So you're gonna have to say your name, and then I'll call you. Then you say your answer. So don't be blurting out any answers prematurely.
Can
All
we
right?
buzz? Can we do a buzz? Or
Yeah, you can do a buzz with your name. That's fine too. All right, boys, you ready?
Yep.
Cue the drum roll. All right, first name I got for you guys, Debo Samuel.
oh gosh,
Oh, it's a small school. No, wait.
is it UCF?
No. Boys, we're stumped on the first one. It's South Carolina.
Oh, that's a gross one.
This is the man, Devo. Come on, boys.
All right, sorry.
All
I'm
right.
lucky.
This one will be a little bit easier, I hope. Dak Prescott.
Mississippi State. Oh, I cheated, but
Okay. Okay, we'll give a half point to Chach on that one. Okay, next name I got for you boys. Zach Ertz. Schmag.
Hate to say it, Stanford.
don't even talk to me
Yeah.
about that game in 2015. What was it,
Yeah,
2013? 2012?
Oh man, he
So
really did it to the University of Oregon that year,
So
man.
everyone listening, I mean, we touched on it earlier. We're all Oregon fans. Shout out Drew Howell. All Oregon fans here, and so Stanford has been the bane of our existence at times. And Zach Ertz, great tight end. Great. I'm sure great guy, but Stanford, unfortunately.
Dreaded Stanford, man. All right, this next one's gonna be a little closer to home. Okay, Devonte Adams.
Bzz.
Josh.
Fresno State.
Yeah, and now he's paired back with his college quarterback and Derek
Yeah,
Carr. So
Dion
that's
crazy.
kind
Looney.
of an interesting duo there.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we want to talk about a team that busted, man, oh my gosh.
You know, the season is early, but it's not looking good. You
Yeah,
go out and spend all that money bringing all the free agents in, man. 0-3 is
yeah,
a rough start.
yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, this early in the season, you hope that your talent can win you a few games. Before you
Hmm.
gotta
yeah,
get too technical with it, especially a team of that caliber with the kind of dudes that they have over there and the amount of
yeah,
money that they're paying them.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
and yeah, and I mean that heartbreak against Arizona in Vegas, like that's rough, man. And just not being able to score, like with those, with Derek Carr your QB and Devonte Adams is on the field, like that's rough. That doesn't look good. And I'm sure the guys that make the decisions in the press box upstairs cannot be, happy with all
yeah, I
that
mean,
stuff.
going into the season, the AFC West was supposed to be the gauntlet, man. They're gonna
Yeah,
beat up on each other all year, and three teams might make playoffs. And
yeah,
man, the Raiders and the Broncos have just not impressed me thus far. Chargers, borderline. I could see something going on there, but I
yeah,
guess we'll have to see how the rest of the year pans out.
yeah.
Next name on the list. It's a toughie, but it's kind of one of those trivia ones that's been asked a lot, so you might have heard it before. Jimmy Garoppolo.
He went okay. He went to the same school as Tony Romo did,
Yeah, okay, that's a half point.
and it's in Illinois.
Yeah, okay.
It's an Illinois school. Is it?
I'll give you a hint. It's an Illinois school, and you just have to name the direction on the compass that it's in.
It's Northern. It's not an NIU. I mean, it's either north, southeast, or west Illinois.
It's gonna be
Is it?
Eastern Illinois, so we'll give you the point for that because you
Okay.
knew it was Illinois and you knew it was Tony Romo. So
What is
that was
what's their
good.
mascot? Like, what are they?
You know, yeah, I couldn't tell you, my guy.
Probably like a sausage or something. I mean, they're in Illinois, so
Big
Anyone
sausage
out there
guys up there.
listening, let us know what the Eastern Illinois mascot is because we're dying to know. All right, next name up on the list, Drew Brees. Logan.
oh, this one hurts for you, doesn't it? Just
Hurts
sit
so
there.
bad.
The Purdue Boilermakers.
That is correct, man. Good job. All right, all right. Now the last one might be a tough one because I didn't even know this one,
Uh,
but it's a well-known player. It's gonna be Stephon Diggs. Garrett.
Maryland.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Hurts.
man. I was going through looking up a couple of these, and I said, "Really?"
Because
But I
I
get
was
it
watching
That's
must
that.
be
confirmed.
true.
I was watching the Maryland Michigan game last weekend, and somehow it got brought up about Stephon Diggs and all the different connections of players and teammates and all that good stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good one.
That's all the names that I got for you guys. So, you guys keeping score?
I mean, I got two. Schmuck got two, right?
I got a
Was there
bunch of half
four?
points because of the whole Garoppolo thing.
Yeah, we're gonna give this round to Garrett for getting the full points on this one.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go,
yeah,
baby.
Yeah, man. Who would have known that Debo would have been the one to stump you guys?
yeah. Debo.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a 49ers fan out there right now, just so offended.
Yeah, it's got to be the pride and joy of South Carolina right now, man.
Mm,
Yeah.
all
No,
right. Well,
I got one question for Chach,
Yeah, go ahead.
or I guess either one of you guys, really. All right, the whole sports betting thing, and you got the money line. I don't get what the money line like. What's an underdog and what's not like? Is a minus an underdog?
So I think
The
Josh, you might know a
minus
little
is the
more.
favorite.
Minus is the favorite.
Okay, minus is the favorite.
You've been putting
So
your money on the wrong teams, dog.
Money lines are different though. So the line, I wrote them down for all the pickems games we're gonna do later. So for example, Alabama's a 17-point favorite. So the line's -17 Alabama for Alabama at
yeah, okay,
Arkansas.
okay. Yeah, see, so sports gambling is not legal here in California, so I guess I don't have too much experience with it. I put $20 on the Steelers one time in Vegas, but that's it.
And so basically, like to dumb it down as easy as possible, if you if you're picking Alabama to win, then they have to beat them by over. Like so, if you take Arkansas in the points, then that
Yeah,
means that
yeah.
that means that if Alabama only wins by 16, you get the bet. So it's just an easier way for you to win on underdog bets, basically. Make it a little.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Basically, if they cover, you're still
Yeah,
good, right?
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So I was always wondering that. I'd be watching College Game Day, and I saw Bear putting up his picks for the week, and I'd be like, because they're close games normally that he's picking, and I'm like, I don't know who's the favorite and who's the underdog and what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was when I was just looking up the lines right before we started, I saw the money line thing, and I was actually wondering the same thing. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know what the difference between the money line and the normal line is.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, boys, boys, boys. Well, what do you say we get into some pick'ems? Talk about some college football, huh?
Yeah, that's why I was asking you, man. I wanna know who the favorite is for these pick'ems.
So should we start with the completely unbiased Oregon game coming up this weekend?
Yeah, I'm biased, objectively.
Okay, so we'll talk about Stanford's past to this point, right? So Stanford is currently 1-2. Okay, week one they played Colgate, beat the brakes off them, 41-10. Week
Toothpaste.
two they played USC, USC 41, Stanford 28. Week three they have played Washington Huskies, and they lost 22-40. So 1-2. Oregon coming off of a pretty uncommon kind of, I don't want to say uncommon, but kind of
Uncharacteristic, maybe.
uncharacteristic from what we've seen from Oregon. Usually when it's bad late, we see kind of some mistakes in the previous, few years here. Big kind of come from behind win against Washington State at Washington State last week. So yeah, that's what we got. Oregon is currently ranked 13. Stanford is unranked at this time.
I mean, what I'm kind of seeing is I'm kind of betting something like the Stanford USC score, something 45-21, something around that neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it's, 41-14 and we can get some, depth guys in, get some reps against some, in conference play dudes. Stanford's always well coached. Their line is very talented pretty much every year on year. The
Mm-hmm.
skill positions lack a little more because it's more of a they're not an Ivy League school, obviously, but it's the closest thing you're going to get without being an Ivy League school. So,
Right.
but I think anything short of, like 500 yards of total offense and just everyone doing well on Oregon is almost a demoralizing loss at this point. Like, I think we need to get in there and take care of business against Stanford.
Yeah, and I mean last year, correct? Against Stanford, we had that complete disintegration of the football team last year. We had, that a minute left, and we're up by 12, 13, however many it was, and then, we get a targeting penalty, and one of our guys is tossed, and Stanford ends up, winning in overtime. So hopefully a little redemption from the Ducks on that this year. I think
Yeah, man. Stanford always plays Oregon tough, no matter what the
always.
year is. I'm rolling with the Ducks on this one. After the Georgia game, we still had no idea what Oregon was gonna be this year. You know, I think some of those questions have been answered the last 2 weeks. Maybe
Mhm.
we are a good football team, and Georgia's just on a different planet right now.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, I'm rolling with Oregon. They answered questions for me last 2 weeks. Big win over BYU, and then coming back in a close game against Washington State, pulling it out. So
Yeah,
my confidence is definitely restored, and I'm rolling with the Ducks, man.
same. Yep, I got the Ducks on this one as well. Good time to be playing well for sure. Got a dominant win over BYU and a come from behind against Washington State. So I think if as much steam as we can get heading into the team that always seems to give us some issues, I'm all for it. So Bonix is playing really well right now. I got Oregon, hopefully by a lot.
Hopefully by a lot is right.
All right, now we're taking her down south, boys. So you got
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky at Ole Miss.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Saturdays in the South are just different, right?
Yeah.
honestly,
Seems like it might just mean a little bit more to them than it does to the rest of the country. They're known
Mm-hmm.
for loving their college football down there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll with Kentucky, man. They impressed me with the big win over Florida. With Kentucky, it's just one of those schools where you just don't know what it's gonna be. Even when they win 9 or 10 games in the year, the next year going in, you're like, was it a fluke? I don't know. More of a
Yeah.
basketball school in the past, but it looks like their football team might be for real this time. So I'm rolling with Kentucky.
Yeah. So yeah, Kentucky is currently ranked 7, and Ole Miss is currently ranked 14. So this has some top 25 implications for sure. Yeah, it's a tough one. I haven't really watched either. Both teams are undefeated so far going into this game. As far as stats go, it looks like Ole Miss has them in uh, points per game, yards per game, opponents points per game. But I don't know, Kentucky, man, they just kind of seem to come out and play well against teams, especially Florida. I remember Kentucky beating Florida back when Tim Tebow was at Florida, and that was earth shattering. So it's Ole Miss though, man. This is one of those where I'm
Well,
stuck right in the
we,
middle on this.
we've seen Old Miss do it to teams before, man. I remember, and they beat Alabama.
Yeah,
And Alabama obviously being the dynasty that they are, and they come out on a wild Saturday and decide that they're just going to go toe to toe. And I
yeah,
believe they were unranked at the time as well. So, not
yeah,
it's not like it hasn't happened before, right?
yeah. Okay, official pick. I got Ole Miss at home. I got Ole Miss for tomorrow. Ole Miss is at home. They're playing a nice early game. I got Ole Miss on this one.
here's what worries me about taking Ole Miss. Okay, they lean heavy on the run game. So their quarterback Jackson Dart, he was that old USC backup from last year. I don't know if you guys saw him at any point, but anyways, he's 51 for 82 on the year, just about 700 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. On the side of Kentucky, we got Will Levis. He's 79 for 117 for 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions.
It's supposed to be one of the top draft picks next year.
Yeah,
And so what worries me is if Ole Miss tries to just keep running the ball to no avail, and they let Kentucky get up by a score or two, it could get out of hand quick. And I don't know if they're how well they
yeah.
are equipped to, recover from such a thing. So I think I'm going to take Kentucky on this one here, boys.
All right.
He's
I
rolling
got.
with the Kentucky, man.
Hey, it's all good. We'll see.
Upset pick alert from old Logan there, huh?
I got Ole Miss at home, man. I mean, it's 70 degrees at kickoff tomorrow at 9 a.m. Like,
Ole Miss is
I,
actually favored by almost a touchdown.
I got Ole Miss, man.
Yeah, you
And
think they're gonna play a little better in the good weather?
what I'm saying, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin,
Yeah, Lane Kiffin,
Lane
man.
Kiffin likes the nice weather. I mean, it's why he went to, dare I say it, USC, and he'll be fine.
All right, moving on, boys. We're taking her to the Atlantic coast. We got NC State at Clemson.
NC State at Clemson, man.
Okay, I mean, just to give a quick little opener here, I don't know how NC State is ranked so high. I don't know if the AP poll is faded or I just haven't been paying attention.
Yeah,
But I mean, Clemson is a tough school. They love football just like freaking everyone else does, but they seem to just have it figured out down there. I don't know if it's a semi-weaker conference or what it is, but they always seem to be in the upper echelon of college football talks. So they got it at
Yep.
Clemson by a touchdown at home, which isn't super crazy, but I'm just really curious to see what NC State brings to the table, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. Chach, what we got for rankings on those two?
NC State's 10, Clemson's 5.
Yeah, man. So Clemson being ranked number 5, that's just based on what they've done in the past, right? They're a powerhouse, man. And not to say they haven't been playing good ball this year, but you got to think a lot of where that number 5 rankings comes from is because of that name Clemson on the jersey, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
They're a powerhouse, and it seems like they might be on a little bit of a revenge tour this year. So,
Yeah.
again, man, I'm sticking with Clemson on this one. I know it might be the safe choice, but until NC State can prove it to me, I gotta go with the big powerhouse Clemson, man.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take Clemson on this one too. North Carolina, week 1, a 1 point win over East Carolina, and then they have throwaway game week 2. Week 3 they had Texas Tech at home, 27-14 win, and then they had UConn last week, which UConn football is has been in a rough state since forever. So yeah, Clemson at home, man, that place is gonna be rocking. Yeah, I got Clemson at home.
Yeah, you almost
Yeah,
got to
man.
take Clemson. I mean, I'm curious about this NC State team though, because I was just
Yeah,
looking at it. Their next three here. I mean, if they can come out of these 3 or 4 games with wins, um, they probably have the conference on lock and probably en route to a playoff spot. They got
yeah.
Clemson
Yeah,
this week. Next week they go to Boston College, and then they got to go to Florida State. So I mean, if they can, sorry, this is Clemson, not NC State.
Hmm.
But if they can come out of this with 3 or 4 wins in a row here, that's a probably a playoff spot locked up already. So
yeah, and Logan mentioned it, but Death Valley's gonna be rocking, man. Is that in your guys' top 5 for entrances in college football? Is running down the hill and touching the rock and all that, man?
I mean, it's up there, man. It's good. They got it figured out there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Number 1 for me on the college entrance.
Can I take a guess?
You can take a guess.
Has it changed at all over the years, or are you like steady on this one?
This one's a classic.
Virginia Tech.
It's got to be Vautech, man.
It's got
That
Virginia.
that inner
It's a
Sandman
whole.
starts playing, the stadium
Yeah,
starts jumping around, man. You
yeah,
know what time it is.
yeah. It's
They
great.
might
It's
not be
great
able to
every time.
back it up once they get on the field, but man, that
Nah,
entrance is just,
right.
whew.
Yeah, it's good. I still go back and randomly kind of watch that sometimes. I would have said either that, or I thought you were going to say something like LSU back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, no, man.
It's a good one.
It's definitely one of the funner parts of college football is seeing the creativity and the tradition in some of those entrances, and lets you know, yep,
we can't talk
Clemson's
it's
about
got
it.
it figured out.
Saturday, and you're gonna be on the couch for the next couple hours. You're right where you need to be, buddy.
Yeah.
We can't talk
Yeah,
about entrances without bringing up Penn State's whiteout.
man, the
Oh yeah.
whiteout,
Hmm.
the environment that creates, man, and that place is always rowdy and jumping around. It's got to be an intimidating place to go play.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on. So we got Big 12, Oklahoma State at Baylor.
Man.
Um, got Baylor by 2.5. That's the line currently. That's a tough one. I'm probably taking Oklahoma State here.
Yeah, so these are both teams that I haven't watched any of this season so far. So I mean, I'm kind of going into this blind a little bit.
Yeah, I watched kind of what BYU did to Baylor. Obviously, they're on the road in Provo, so it's a tough place to go to.
Yeah,
But it seemed like BYU kind of did whatever they want, and then watching Oregon kind of do whatever they wanted to BYU in the latter stage. I think Oklahoma State's a very well coached team.
yeah.
They're not going to be pushed around as easy, and so I think I'm taking Oklahoma State here by 14 or so.
Is my man Gundy still rocking the mullet?
Oh yeah,
Mm.
it's over.
Ooh.
It's actually wraps. Make it 3 touchdowns.
Side note on him, one of the greatest rants in college football history with the I'm a man, I'm 40. Come talk to me. Man, classic. And I'm kind of with Chacha on this one. BYU pushed them around, pushed Baylor around pretty good, and then BYU turned out not to be maybe the superstar team that they look like in that game. Going against a couple Pac-12 schools. So, I'm picking Oklahoma State in this one, man. That Big 12, you just never know what you're gonna get on any given Saturday. Like, it's usually a high scoring, low defense kind of affair, and anything can really happen. I'm rolling with Oklahoma State, man.
It's a tough one, man. So yeah, so Oklahoma State. Let's see. Okay, so Baylor has won the most recent meeting last year. Before that, it was Oklahoma State. So they're split on the past 2 seasons. That's a tough one. I mean, Baylor though, yeah, it's a tough place to play. Oh man, I don't know why I'm so torn up on this one. Yeah, I mean they played in the Big 12 title game last season, and Baylor won that game.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy game too.
Yeah,
Um, Came down to a goal to go situation.
yep,
Big stop at the end there.
yeah. That was a. I gotta go Baylor. I'm gonna go Baylor on this. I'm gonna go Baylor at home.
Wow.
Yep, I'm gonna go Baylor at home.
Yeah, man, I don't hate the pick. That was one of the tougher ones we've had to pick so far, just because
You just never know. You never know.
Big 12, man, it's tricky.
I mean,
Yeah,
shout out Oklahoma last weekend.
it
That
seems like
was rough.
Oklahoma State just always has someone who just runs for 1,200 yards a season somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
Chuba Hubbard, and yeah, you're right.
yeah, that's definitely the hardest game on here. All right, heading back down south. My take on this game, we got Alabama at Arkansas. Alabama's a 17-point favorite currently. This is either a giant trap card or it is going to be a blowout. There's no in between. I mean, that's just how it's going to go. I don't see it being close, but Bama pulls away in the end. It's either going to be a blowout full through or Arkansas is going to really turn some heads. But I don't know if Arkansas even has that ability in them this year. So,
Yeah,
oh man, I got Bama by a lot. We were just talking last weekend on kind of the rankings, and I have no idea how Arkansas is. I mean, they were ranked what, like top 10? Arkansas was top 10. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe
yeah.
until they lost, which I was really confused about that. I mean, I mean, we know who the dominant ones are in the SEC, and I wouldn't pick Arkansas. I got Bama by a lot.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know, when it comes to Bama, Bryce Young is really that guy,
yeah,
and he's obviously a superstar. However, the part that scares me, that matchup with Texas, man, close
yeah,
game or right up to the end. I just don't know. Is that a fluke or is that going to be a blueprint going forward on how to slow these guys down?
yeah. If I'm Arkansas, I'm watching that tape front to
Yeah,
back.
right. That being said, I got Bama by a lot. When it comes to the SEC, they're dominant, and I don't think they're going to be taking anyone lightly. So I think they're going to come in focused, and yeah, Bama by a lot on that one.
Give me Arkansas by a field goal.
By a field goal.
Oh,
Wow.
They're going into Razorback Stadium. Alabama, in recent history, has not been spectacular on the road. I mean, they're Alabama, so
Mm-hmm.
the sample size is a little skewed there. But
Sure.
going into Razorback Stadium, they got a hell of a coach in Sam Pittman up in Arkansas. Like I said about the talent, I don't know, but if Alabama struggles like they did with Texas, who then went the next week and lost to Texas Tech, I don't know. Something's giving me vibes for Arkansas by a field goal, though.
yeah, yeah.
Call your bookie.
Oh, Arkansas's definitely got a good little squad, man. So you never know.
Okay, let's look here. Okay, so Alabama has won the previous like 13 matchups.
Head to head
13.
versus Arkansas.
Yep.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
got
that's a
I got
pretty
I got
dominant
one
one.
more pick 'em I want to tack on the top too.
Yeah, yeah. Tack one on the end here, man.
All right, it's both unranked. Iowa State 3-1 at Kansas 4-0. Another Big 12.
Wow.
And I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the stats on this Kansas quarterback, but my lord, the kid can play some football.
Yeah.
Uh, Josh, what's that matchup real quick? Iowa versus Kansas?
Iowa State at
Iowa
Kansas.
State versus Kansas. Ooh.
Yeah, Iowa State, man. They're just one of those teams where it's nitty gritty, hard nosed football the whole time. It seems like, you know. It seems like when I was watching them last year, it's a lot of hand the ball off to Brees Hall. This year, uh, you know, season is young, so you got to see if they maybe add some more splash plays in there. But um, I'm liking them. I'm liking Iowa State in this one, man.
Yeah, so here's just a quick little stat line for the Kansas quarterback here. He's 66 for 93, 73% completion percentage. He's incredibly effective, averaging just under 10 yards a pass. His quarterback rating for the year is 188.7. So I don't know how, but the kid knows what to do with the football.
Yeah, that is a ridiculous quarterback.
So something to keep an eye on as the season progresses here. If Kansas keep, I don't know how they're not ranked, being 4-0 in the Big 12, but you know,
Oh, who are you liking in this one, Logan?
Oh, it's hard, man, because I haven't really watched either team play too much. But I'm gonna have to pick one, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's two of those teams where when you're trying to pick what game you're going to watch on Saturday, you don't see a Kansas game on, and you're like, yep, that's the one,
yeah,
you know? So
Yeah,
these teams might fly under the radar a little bit more than others.
yeah. I mean, I gotta take the home team. I think here. I think I'm going Kansas.
I'm also messing with Kansas. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's a little Midwest school. It's a basketball school. We don't really see them playing particularly well in football. You saw what Baker did there in 2017, and we'll just leave it at that. But
Yeah,
so yeah, I mean, as a general college football fan, you love to have new schools. Make it interesting, play good football. Does nothing but help the brand grows and overall, which makes everyone happier. So,
yeah,
but I got
yeah.
Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it really kind of depends. If Iowa State can turn this into what kind of game they want to turn it into, which I'm assuming is a more grinded out kind of football game, Iowa State's got a good shot, and Kansas is trying to, just judging by their stat line, their yards per game, their opponent's points per game. Iowa State, their opponent's points per game is 14 and a half. For Kansas, their opponent's points per game is 27 and almost a half. So I mean, it's obvious Kansas. They're just like, okay, I'm going to go out. Our offense is better than yours, and we're going to score more points, kind of thing. Which is it can be a downfall for some of those teams, and it can, you know, teams like Iowa State sometimes have a hard time keeping up with that kind of high octane kind of football. Which I'm guessing Kansas likes to go no huddle if they're throwing that much, and the other team's scoring that much. They're going fast, and it defense. Iowa State's defense is what it comes down to. They're either going to shut them down or Kansas is going to throw all over them. But Kansas at home, I think they're going
Yeah,
to ride the
man,
momentum.
I'm liking it. We kind of touched on a couple of superstar quarterbacks. I was wondering if you guys had any power rankings for me on all-time quarterbacks for college football. Doesn't have to be in any particular order, but any ones that you guys like to throw out there?
Okay, are we talking like purely skill or are we talking impact on the game?
Either or, man. Who do you look up to? Who were you watching on Saturdays get it done and just thought, yeah, he's that guy?
So I think we can all agree here on Mariota, Marcus Mariota.
Mm-hmm.
That guy just different. I saw him play live once. It's something else. That dude's just different. For me personally, though, Tim Tebow is. I know that didn't work out in the NFL and not your typical kind of quarterback, but um, Tim Tebow. I just when I first started playing football, and the few years after that was when he was kind of going through his run at Florida, and that guy was different. I got to put him up there for sure as far as like leadership goes and all that stuff. I mean, it's hard to beat someone like that.
Yeah, 100%. And kind of adding on to that, we see a lot of these Heisman Trophy winner superstar college quarterbacks not work out in the NFL. So you got to kind of judge them on two separate planes, right?
Mhm.
And I think we can separate the college game from the pro game enough to say, yeah, this guy was great for his time spent at his college. Yeah, I'm right with you on the Tim Tebow and Marcus Mariota.
Mhm.
Also, have to shout out Johnny Manziel, man. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
watching him have some showdowns with Alabama back in the day,
yeah,
and more than held his own, man.
yeah.
And just a
Against yeah, tough teams, tough Alabama teams, big,
yeah,
strong. Like those guys are going to the league easy. You know.
yeah, and just big splash plays all the time, man.
Yeah.
Another name I'd like to shout out, as much as it pains me to say it, Matt Leinart. Man,
Oh yeah.
for the dynasty that was USC to be the point man on those teams, gotta give him his kudos, give him his flowers where they're due. Really impressive run that those guys had, and he was right there in the center of it all. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. I know you got a good one, Chach. I know you. I know you have a good one.
I'm gonna say Joe Burrow
Joey
because
Burr.
That guy did a lot for. Yeah.
just the story is great. For those of you who haven't heard it, go freaking check it out. Kid's been everywhere. He's done everything. He's had the highs, he's had the lows, all that good stuff. So, but you know, uh, many of these other quarterbacks, specifically Mariota or Manziel, they had dudes around them who were helping the overall flow. Not to say that Burrow didn't, but also, the LSU team was going in five wide for 60 plays out of their 89 plays in a game or something like that. And so I feel like his impact on the game is second to none, basically,
Mm.
because he's back there and he's got to make a play, and he did.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's almost like the Matt Leinart thing, man. Definitely had some superstars around him, whether Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson and all those boys. But to be the point man and be the one distributing the ball, be the man with the ball in your hands, late game situation, you got to drive down and you got to make a play. And he definitely made some plays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
That run they had to the national championship game was just something else. That dude, and he could just continues to get better too. I mean, he's one of those people that you just kind of watch him play in college, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna do well for himself in the NFL. And I mean, up until now he has, and he plays beyond his years, that's for sure. As far as maturity goes and all that stuff. So I'm sure that's not the most, your best pick for another quarterback in your division, TC, but can't knock the hustle on that guy.
no, definitely not. The reason I brought it up is I saw a lot of power rankings online, and a lot of them have Lamar Jackson up there. Um, any thoughts on that? My initial thought is the overall team success maybe wasn't there, but I do remember watching him at Louisville and thinking he was built a little different.
Or even that
Yeah.
freaking that like okay, I'm gonna say Vine from back in the day for any OG listeners out there, but
Mm-hmm.
you everyone remembers the clip, the purple jersey with the tiger striped helmet, and that was Lamar Jackson. In case you were wondering, when he was in high school, he was doing this to kids in high school, and then yeah, like you said, turn on any Lamar Jackson Louisville highlight tape, and you'll just be amazed with what he does with the football over and over again.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So I just thought that was a bit of an interesting take that I was seeing on there.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Lamar Jackson's definitely up there. His ability to run and get the ball, I mean, he doesn't have the biggest arm. He's not gonna, 70 yards on the dot to his receiver down the field, but I mean, he's gonna get the ball to his guys and he's gonna run and he's, what defense is, planning for a guy like that is tough. Like it's not only do your guys have to, stop a run, but I mean, he's going to get the ball to his playmakers too. So I'd put him up there also. I mean, in that famous game that they took down Florida State, and when Florida State was going through their dominant time in college. Yeah, I'd
No,
put Lamar Jackson up there.
yeah, definitely a difference maker, man. I said that they didn't have the overall team success, but he really took Louisville from
Hmm.
nothing into something in a really quick.
Yeah.
He took them all the way. I believe they played Clemson, for the ACC championship game in an absolute
Yeah,
shootout with Deshaun Watson. So,
yeah,
really impressive what he did there. Just the overall team success has to be part of the grade as well, right?
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
if we're throwing team success in there, then we got to talk about Jameis Winston.
Oh
Jameis Winston.
gosh.
He lost
Yeah.
one game in his entire college career, a
Yeah, and
singular
who
game.
was that to? Do you remember?
That's South Carolina.
The Oregon Ducks, baby.
The old backwards pass,
At the Rose
man.
Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Man, you
Yeah,
want to talk about a team? Those Florida State teams, man.
My lord.
Fully loaded Dalvin
yeah,
Cook and Jalen
yeah.
Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean,
Jalen,
anyone interested, go ahead and go look back at the Florida State roster the year that they played Oregon in the Rose Bowl when Oregon went on to play Ohio State in the national championship. Look at Florida State's roster and let me know how that's not a complete all-star team because all of those guys are now top. I mean, not all of them. Most of them are top tier athletes in the NFL and all in their own right, and they were all played on the same team in college.
yeah, man. His favorite target, Kelvin Benjamin, was a freak, man.
Yeah,
An absolute freak.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jameis Winston. That's actually a good one.
yeah.
Big,
Even,
big goofy. I mean, but hey,
yeah, man. Old famous Jameis.
I'm really trying to if there's anyone else that has like really stuck out. We'll have to go over busts too at some point and talk about guys that were hyped through the roof that maybe we didn't really understand why, or we knew it wasn't going to turn out that way just based off kind of what we know and what we saw, kind of thing. So we'll have those
Spencer
for sure.
Rattler.
I mean, that's still ongoing, man.
The jury might still be out, but it's not looking good.
Yeah.
Boys, we got anything else?
I mean, if we're doing this, I mean, anyone want to maybe do a quick little update on the high school game? I mean, they're probably wrapped up by now, but I guess we can take a look and see if anyone's curious. We talked about all the college and NFL stuff, and might as well get a little closer to home. Alrighty, so we got Tehachapi 26th, South 20.
Is that final?
That's final.
It's final. Another win for the good guys, huh?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
nice to see Tattoo playing some really good ball again. Couple of down years, a couple of rough years thrown in there. So it's nice to see them back to playing some good ball, man.
Yeah, that what takes us to five and one on the season so far.
Yep, five
Yeah,
and one.
Yeah. So
yeah, and this was the first league game, so it's always nice
yeah,
to get off on the right foot when it comes to league. So
yeah, yeah, and I think the rest of the league, I think it's north, south, east, and west, and then Tehachapi now is all a league. I think that's the way that's split up now. So yeah, getting into league play, and we'll keep doing updates on that for sure. I mean, obviously,
We just got to give one quick shout out on the high school team. Name's AJ Anderson. He's number 4. He's played 5.5 games. He got hurt at halftime last week. The stat line is nuts. He has 73 carries for 897 yards, not including tonight. His average is 13.4. He has just under 150 yards a game. He has 600 plus yards a game, obviously. 11 touchdowns. And he plays defense. So just
yeah,
thought I'd give a
yeah,
quick shout out to that kid because showing up, playing good, man.
yeah. He finished with 158 all-purpose yards tonight. So
yeah, that
it's
kid's
good,
a
man.
monster. Yeah, no,
It's good to see like your high school doing well, and like we come from that, and it's always good to see them doing well. So yeah, shout out AJ, man. Keep trucking, man. That's awesome.
yeah. See him getting a couple of awards on the FFX Friday night show. So I
Oh
thought that
yeah,
was pretty sweet. Getting some Player of the Week shout outs. So really cool to see a guy from Taj be doing well again.
Love to see it for the boys.
Hmm.
cool. All right, guys. Well, I think that about covers it for what I had. I don't know if there's anything else we want to finish up with, or
I didn't really have too much else.
still thinking about that Baylor game.
Yeah, You have to edit this part out, but
Yeah, I made a little note.
you want me to just try to give like a little sign off, or do you guys want to maybe take a stab at it or something? Just
Yeah, you can give her a shot.
schmag.
Unless Rock wants to give her a go. He's not usually a public speaker guy, but
I mean, you go ahead.
all right. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for episode 1 of the Keep It Down podcast. We covered pretty broad range of stuff from our background. We even did some pickems for this week's college slate of games. So if you like what you're seeing, leave a comment. I think we're going to be posting on Spotify, maybe Apple Podcasts in the future. So probably get some social media pages up and running here. So you know where to find us and all that good stuff, and you can give feedback. So yeah, we'll catch you back here soon enough. Huh, boys?
Yeah, it's been
Yo,
real. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for
we can talk
listening.
about next time. Thanks for listening.